Hi there and welcome to everybody watching. You are joining Kyle McLean and Craig Dennett live from Ibrox as Rangers have defeated Hibs 4-0 in a pretty comfortable win, I would say. For me, certainly the most enjoyable performance of the season. But Craig, we'll just get straight into it. Clement came in, said he wanted dominant football. I think that was a pretty dominant performance.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was the closest we've seen anyway to a dominant performance so far this season. I'm not sure that would be very hard, but it was a really positive performance. It was really encouraging. I loved the fact we were pressing high. I loved the fact that we were winning the ball back quickly. There was much more energy around the team. We were always looking forward for passes. There was no horseshoe. There was no back and forward across the back line. We were creating chances. We were scoring goals. There was lots of encouragement from there, and it's only been a couple of days. We spoke beforehand, and we spoke in the immediate reaction to the team lineup. I felt a bit deflated.
Yes.
When we saw the team line up, because the excitement of a new manager, and then you remember it's still the same players that were playing when we were struggling, and we were playing under Michael Beale, and really how much could the new manager change in just a couple of days. I was pleasantly surprised by how much he was able to change. He spoke about his four pillars and his Kyle's been doing that all day. It's not got annoying in the slightest. He spoke about his four pillars that he likes to work around or towards when he was unveiled at the press conference during the week, and I think he already started to see some of them come through today, and it was a very encouraging performance. I'm not going to get carried away. The manager was asked in his post-match press conference, was he impressed by the performance, and he said impressed was a big word, which I did like. I just got the impression from him, Kyle, and I don't know about you, but I got the impression from him that he was like, it's an okay start, but there's miles and miles and miles to go until we're up to the level he wants to get to. If that's the case, given what we watched today, that's very exciting.
Yeah, 100%. It's we've already spoken to Ross about how impressive Philippe Clement was in that blue room unveiling, and today that's the first time that obviously you and I have seen him in the flesh, and he came across as a very well-spoken character, no nonsense.
Not a man you want to get in the wrong side.
100%, very serious, just matter of fact, and I know maybe we'll come on to talk about Desser's presser as well, but yeah, that's it. But it was that word clarity. Like, it's clear what we have to do. He's introduced simple ideas, simple philosophies, simple stories, if you're using a Clementism. And yeah, you could already see those small things starting to pay off. I'm just going to read out some stats today. I'm not a big stat guy, but we were talking about these before we came live on air. 53% possession, 23 shots and 8 on target. Scored four goals out of 8 shots on target. That's just something that we've not seen. What were some of those small differences that did you see today that we haven't perhaps seen at Rangers in the last few months?
I mean, you say we haven't seen them. Michael Beale did have us top of the shot league for quite a long period of time. I think at that point we were averaging 20, 21 shots per game when he made that comment. One of many infamous comments, I think, that will live with Michael Beale for quite a long time amongst Rangers fans and Scottish football. But I think the difference today was we were creating chances that had legitimate opportunities to be goals. Mm-hmm. We weren't creating chances that were counted as chances that were shots from 30 yards and were miles wide or anything like that. We had legitimate chances and opportunities at goal that were sometimes created from wide, sometimes created through the middle, and there was real variety in that, and that was a real encouraging point as well. You asked me a question. I've completely forgotten what the question was. Can you remind me what the question was?
What were the small differences that you saw today that Clement's brought in from the previous manager, I suppose?
Yeah. First of all, was the press. I think that has to be the first point. Even from the first minute, we were our front three were right on the edge of the 18-yard box, ready to press anything that was short from the Hibs goal kick, and they did it, and they continued to do it. And I actually think that's somewhere Cyril, we'll come on to talk about Cyril Dessers a bit more, but I think that's somewhere Cyril Dessers thrives, because he can do a power of running, and he can chase things down, and he can force the opposition into some difficult decisions, and it was something that we saw today. I think we also saw the fact that we were looking to play forward as much as possible. Almost as soon as players got the ball, we were looking to play forward. There are a few times I pointed out to you during the game that I think it was Lundstrom, Golds and Suter were starting to play side to side a little bit, and Clement was just pointing forward.
Yeah.
Every time it got to the next player, he was pointing forward, and it eventually went through the middle. And I think what we almost saw an extra piece of that when Todd Cantwell came on as well, because Todd Cantwell was just, I think, everything that Philippe Clement kind of wanted the players to do in terms of driving forward and passing the ball. I actually think Scott Wright will fall into a similar category in terms of what Philippe Clement wants from his players, driving forward, creating a bit of chaos in that final third, and making the relevant passes. So I think we saw some changes. It's easy to get carried away.
Yeah.
I'm not really someone who does get carried away with that kind of stuff, but it was encouraging.
Yeah.
And now it's on to Thursday night against Sparta Prague, and okay, it was against Hibs. I don't think Hibs showed up particularly well. Whether that was down to us or whether that was down to them, or a combination of the two, probably the latter. It'll be interesting to see how we show up against a European side, that Philippe Clement said he's watched a few times, has been impressed by. So big game coming up on Thursday night, and hopefully a few more days on the training ground, and we'll see a bit more progress upon what we've seen already.
Yeah, 100%. I think it goes back to what you were talking about at the start there, that the starting lineup, as soon as you saw it, you were just not depressed, but you and I just both rolled our eyes at it, didn't we, initially? And just to see those players that have been playing that turgid, awful style of football to actually doing something different was a total game changer. So there's something that Clement said. He said it in a couple of press conferences now. He didn't say it in that one that we were just at there, but he said the players shouldn't be afraid to try things. They should, if their heads go down, and we've seen that before from these players, and if the crowd reacts negatively to them, you see the head go down, and it just doesn't happen for them. It seemed different today. Raskin in particular, I want to pick out. He was trying different things, had a couple of bum passes, but he kept going at it. Raskin, do you want to talk about him today, his goal, and how do you think he's coped so well so far under the new manager?
Yeah, I think it almost seemed like he was playing a different role today. I don't know if he was playing a different role or it was different instructions, but he was driving forward a lot more. As soon as he got the ball, he was turning and he was going forward. He wasn't scared to take a man on. He wasn't scared to try something a bit different. He played a few absolutely great through balls first time to a few of the strikers and a few of the forward players, and then his goal itself. You probably count on one hand how many times I've seen Nico Raskin shoot from outside the box since he was here, but it seems like all he did when in the highlight reel before he came here, and it was a bit like Jose Cifuentes as well. Jose Cifuentes obviously not playing today, but we've not seen him take on many shots at all since he's been here, and it's felt like every second game we saw him scoring worldies from outside the box for LAFC. So it'll be interesting to see how much of it is down to managerial instruction and how much of it is down to player confidence, etc. But Nico Raskin today took his goal really well. He was much further out actually in the replay than I thought from where we were sitting in the gantry. He took it really well. It wasn't a powerful shot, but it was really well placed, and you can see why the keeper just was unable to stop it.
Yeah, I did enjoy Raskin's performance today. I'm not sure if I necessarily agreed with the match sponsor and giving him man of the match. I maybe think there's a couple other players I would put ahead of him in that regard. But that's the type of play I want to see from Nico Raskin, receiving the ball in the middle of the pitch, turning and finding a player out wide fast. There was that. I felt he should have made it 5 as well with that ball that Ross McLaughlin put through for him. But I suppose we can't have everything today, but it was better. And that was, I think, the best that he's played this season. Why do I think that is? Clement said that he was going to play players in the positions that they play, and everybody played in, I think, their natural positions today. And you could tell. The next player, you're going to take it off me?
Yeah, I'm going to take it off you. I think the really positive thing, you spoke about Raskin in the chat, the chance he had there to make it 5. I actually think we had the chances to make it 6, 7, 8 today. And that, I think that just shows how different today's performance was, and especially that creativity. How many times have we sat here and went, I think we only created one chance in the whole 90 minutes, and you're struggling to see how we were going to score more than one goal today. Today was actually completely different.
Yeah,
we were. It was 4 going on 7 or 8, and that wouldn't have been a surprise, nor would it have been harsh on Hibs. I don't think if it had been that amount. I see Cyril Dessers is getting some stick in the comments. We'll come on to Cyril Dessers because we may have a different view from others on him, but it was a really positive performance, and it's breathed new life into my excitement for what this season could still potentially hold, whether that be in cup competitions, whether that be in Europe, or whether that be where we are in the league currently and where we could potentially get to.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. I am, again, not getting carried away, but greatly encouraged by today. We've seen as he's getting talked about in the comments, Cyril Dessers. Let's go and talk about him. I think a bit of a mixed bag. I certainly noticed in the This Is Ibrox WhatsApp chat there was some perhaps negativity towards him. I was maybe a bit surprised about that. Now, I'm not going to say that he's absolutely turned a corner and he's now our best striker, but I think that is the style of play that he likes to do. Having somebody else up front when we were defending on the transition, we were in a rigid 4-4-2. We were attacking. We were quite fluid. We seemed to be more that 4-4-3. Obviously, he got his goal. Fantastic assist from Todd Cantwell. I think he sent about 4 players for Hibs players for a pie there. But another thing I'm going to say is in that first goal, the goal that Abdullah Sima scored, we will come on to talk about Abdullah Sima, but his run, it drew that second central defender away, created the space, and I think if Sima had opted to pass it, he was available for a tap-in at the back post. Whether he scores or not, it's a different story. But again, I'm not saying he was fantastic, but for me, that's the best that I've seen Cyril Dessers playing a Rangers shirt.
Yeah, it's up there with his better performances. I'll take Stevie Scotty 19's comment there. I know Dessers scored, but holy moly, him and Lammers are absolute dugmeat. Other than that, pleased with the performance today. I think Lammers is more of a concern for me than Cyril Dessers. I think Cyril Dessers has something about him. I think he's Ronald De Boer said he was a confidence player before he came in, and I don't think there's been any clearer evidence that he's of a player that is a confidence player than Cyril Dessers and how he's played this season. I think he spoke in the post-match press conference there about how he tries not to let criticism get to him, but he actually did let some get to him in the last few games towards the last international break. And at the end of the day, players are only human, and he said he thinks he was maybe trying too hard, and he was trying to force things a little bit to try and get on the score sheet and show what he can do. But he also turned that around and said, I've scored goals all my life.
Yeah,
it's what I've done. If I'd work hard for the team and I do everything that I'm supposed to do for the team, then the goals will naturally come from those movements, from those pieces of play, from the positions that he gets himself in. And I think when you sit down and you listen to him, first of all, he's a player you want to do well.
Yeah, 100%.
He is 100% a player that you want to do well, but he gives you a bit of confidence that he has that he will do well because he thinks he'll do well. So I said do well far too many times. I lost myself in the circle of do well there. But it's but I think Cyril Dessers, I will give him every opportunity he has to succeed. He might not succeed, but I'm willing to give him every opportunity possible to get to that, because he's a player that that's done well elsewhere. He's a player that has scored goals. He's a player that scored 4 goals in his first 5 games for us, and then he's kind of gone off the boil a little bit. It just takes a wee run, and off he goes. Do I think he's good enough to be our starting striker? Probably not. But do I think he has a part to play in this squad and what could potentially be an exciting season again, which I don't think I'd be saying a couple of weeks ago? Then absolutely, I think he's got a part to play.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up Callum C's comment here. He says we can get excited about the season again. Bring on the treble. I'm maybe not quite all aboard that quite yet, but that's all we needed. You and I came into this game and we just said we wanted a performance, we wanted the result, and to me we got both of those things. And the fact that the manager still wasn't impressed by it, I think it's a good sign for things to come. Look, there's a couple more players I just want to talk about. The next guy, John Lundstrom. A controversial figure at times, but I thought he looked a different player. I was absolutely loving the fact that he was hitting those outside of the boot passes left, right and centre today, and he just seemed to have that snappiness back, that quickness back. Do you think this is a guy that can thrive under this environment and thrive under the managerial tenure of Clement?
Yeah, I think it probably goes back to the players playing in the right positions and where they're most successful. I just want to bring up this comment from Scott Hammond. Players were allowed to express themselves today, which was refreshing. I think that's exactly what it felt like. It felt like players had the freedom to just go and do what they do well as professional footballers. They weren't trying to fit into a particular thing, or they weren't trying to stick to a very rigid system, although, and we'll probably come on to how rigid we are defensively, or how rigidly we kind of tried to get into a shape defensively. But going forward, attacking, we were allowed to be free flowing. The players were allowed to be creative. They were allowed to be inventive, and they were allowed to do what they wanted to do, as long as they turned round as soon as they lost the ball and made the effort to get back in. So I think that's a huge point that Scott makes there in that comment in terms of players being allowed to express themselves, and we saw it all over the park today. And John Lundstrom was exactly that as well. John Lundstrom, actually, I've criticised him a lot over the past year or so.
You criticised the first 6 months when he came here, Craig.
I've criticised him a lot in the past year or so, just about the fact he's backwards, he's sideways, he loses the ball in dangerous positions. We lose a lot of goals because of mistakes he makes. But today we saw a different John Lundstrom. He was turning on the half turn. He was passing the ball forward. He was looking for teammates out wide quickly. He wasn't delaying on the ball. And I think a lot of what we see now just makes you second guess what the players were being asked to do under Michael Beale, or what the players were being tasked with under Michael Beale as the game plan. And how much was the players and how much was the game plan? The players are not blameless when it comes to Michael Beale. Absolutely not. It's just how much it is, and ultimately we'll never know. So it's all about what the players start to do now. And John Lundstrom, I thought, had a really positive game.
Yeah, long may it continue. It's no secret John Lundstrom was a player that I've always liked, always enjoyed watching him, and I thought he had a good game today, and I hope that he does well under Clement. And finally, the last player that I want to talk about, for me, the man of the match, Abdullah Sima, been away in international duty with Senegal, a well-deserved call-up. He's had 7 starts. In his last 7 starts, he's had 7 goals, scored a couple of fantastic goals today. I thought that the press, as you talked about earlier, winning the ball in the middle of the pitch and just driving forward at the Hibs defence. I mean, they did not like that when we were running at them today, and that was a real feature of our play at times. But just to have that, I thought it was a brilliant finish. The first goal hit the side net, and then the second goal, okay, I saw a bit of criticism of Dessers, but that for me was a definite handball, having watched it back. But what a second finish that was, right into the top corner of the net. But other than the 2 goals, his drive to get forward, there was times where he showed almost pace like Umar Sadiq, I think. But it was, he had a really good performance. What did you think of Abdullah Sima today?
I don't think many of the listeners will understand that Umar Sadiq reference. He didn't really show much pace in the park, apart from that one time against Bury in the pre-season friendly, where he ran from the halfway line to the goal in about 3 strides. But apart from that, I think Abdullah Sima, I don't think it can be underestimated how much of a success he has been for us so far this season, and potentially alongside Jack Butland, the only one of the new signings that has been a success. Yes, he's on loan, but his pace is frightening. His pace is absolutely frightening. As soon as he's up to a player out wide, he is, he's hitting the byline, he's going past them. But the defensive players must know that now too, and you'll start to see them second guessing themselves on that one and start to sit a bit deeper. I thought when he first came in, he looked a bit raw. I thought he looked the left foot didn't quite know what the right foot was going to do, and he was kind of tripping over the ball, and a bit fashion Sakala.
I was going to say, talk about Seymour Sakala here.
A bit fashion Sakala, just in terms of how he was when he was on the ball, but he had that pace that could trouble anyone at any stage of the game. Now it seems to be a bit more controlled. It seems to be a bit more deliberate in terms of what he's trying to do, and in terms of in terms of his finishes today, his first one, it was just pace to get away from the defenders, and then it was a great finish into the side net. And as you said, no goalkeeper's going to save that. And his second one is just keeping up with play, staying alive, and then a great finish into the top corner again. Desser's probably a bit unlucky, like you said, but great to see that. I see Paul McGarrigle keep shouting about Raskin. We did speak about Raskin about 10 minutes ago, Paul. So we won't go over it for everyone listening, but maybe a wee rewatch of the pod after we finished here might be, and you'll get to see our views about Nico Raskin. But back to Abdullah Sima, he's been a real positive for me, and he is he's one that I would expect to be on the team sheet every single game going forward.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's business to be done in the transfer window with Abdullah Sima. If we can work something out with Brighton, how much money we'll have to pay for him, I don't know. But if there's something there, if the form that he's shown, especially under a really poor Beale team, he's been excellent for me. Look, there's just a couple of things I want to talk about before we end the pod. There was 2 or maybe 3 things the manager said in that post-match press conference that he was really, really happy with. Number 1 was that we kept the tempo up. It's been a long time since I've seen us, in 90 plus minutes, and we are still going, attacking, looking to get another goal, which I really enjoyed. It's been ages since we've seen that. The other thing that the manager says was our reaction when we lost the ball. I think that was the other noticeable difference from this team that we saw today. As soon as we lost it, we were in packs looking for it again. Raskin was a guy doing that. Lundstrom was a guy doing that. I thought the 2 of them worked really, really well as a central midfield partnership. But what did you make of Rangers keeping up the tempo and how we reacted, especially when we lost the ball?
Yeah, I think Clement said the tempo was good in moments, and he said it wasn't so good in moments. I think that's fair to say. It was probably to be expected in the first game under the new management. It'll be interesting to see how that develops, because if we're able to keep the tempo high for 80% of a game, 90% of a game, we've seen in the last couple of seasons how much success the other side of the city have had by doing that. And if we're able to do that, we will genuinely just blow teams away purely from a fitness perspective, more than anything else. And ultimately, when that becomes the case, the quality starts to shine through no matter what. So that'll be really interesting if we can keep that going. It'll make football more entertaining. It'll be more exciting for us as fans watching it. We'll look forward to Rangers games again. I don't think we've done that much so far this season, but we will look forward to Rangers games again, and that's a real positive. And the lift that the crowd gave the players, I don't know if it was the crowd giving the players or the players giving the crowd. See, when we won the ball back high, it just got everyone off their seats onto their feet, and that's a real boost. That at a point in the game, especially early doors when it was still 0-0 or when it was 1-0, it's a point in the game where that can be really encouraging. It can make a real difference maker for the players. So it will. It's really it'll be really interesting to see how that develops over time.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there on that one. I think that's where I'm going to sort of end it as well, because that's what Philippe Clement said in that press conference. It was good to see the synergy back between the fans and the team, and it really, really was good to see that. It's been a long time since, Cyril Dessers getting that standing ovation. You could not have timed that substitution any better if you're Philippe Clement. Get his goal, and then he comes off, and it was good to see the whole fan stadium up.
Are you going to throw me under the bus here with what I typed just before Dessers scored?
Oh, I wasn't going to, but seeing as you've done it, Craig basically said he wasn't very good, and you weren't too impressed with him, were you?
It's a bit harsh. I said Dessers hasn't hit the heights, and then swiftly deleted it as Cyril Dessers rolled the ball into the bottom corner. But yeah, I think overall, really positive performance, really encouraging. Bit of buzz back around the club, bit of buzz back around the fans, and we are heading into what is another busy period for Rangers. We've got Sparta Prague away Thursday night, back here at Ibrox next Sunday for Hearts, which will be another tricky game. Probably give us a bit of an insight into what we'll face in the League Cup semi-final as well. So all in all, positive Saturday. Rangers haven't ruined the weekend for the first time in a little while, and yes, everyone can go and enjoy themselves. As you say, Kel, we'll probably wrap that up here. I'm back on Monday night with Tommy and Kieran, I think, 8:30 p.m. live on our YouTube channel. Take a wider look at today's game, the fallout from it, and start to what's another big week, as we said, for Rangers. Plenty of content coming your way over the next couple of weeks as well, so make sure you look out to that. Make sure you subscribe to the TII YouTube channel, toggle on those notifications, and you'll get an email every single time we go live. So thank you very much everyone for listening, and until next time, live from Ibrox, goodbye.